Russia. Witkoff had his 3-hour meeting. The president said, and Secretary Rubio suggested that there'll be a summit. The Russians basically saying, we know where the summit's going to be, and it's likely going to be next week. I'm still a little bit skeptical. Here is the headline from the Associated Press, 103. Trump to meet Putin soon, the Kremlin says, as the White House deadline looms on Ukraine. Of course, that deadline's tomorrow, and the president, despite saying he'll meet with Putin and then maybe Zelensky, also is going forward with the sanctions on India for buying energy from Russia. Some European countries are concerned. Some feel they weren't included enough yesterday in all of this. And of course, we know the president likes one-on-one. Here is, I'll have what he's not having, Mike Pompeo, slim down, don't be distracted by how skinny he is, talking about a topic that he's long been involved in, which is Russia, this morning. 104, please.
Looks like some progress was made yesterday, according to the president, when Mr. Witkoff met Putin. President Trump thinks that at least lays the groundwork for the opportunity to meet next week. But we should make no mistake about it. The days ahead will be interesting because the new tariffs come into place, tariffs on those who are purchasing Russian oil, the very thing that's continued to fuel and fund Vladimir Putin's terror campaign against the Ukrainian civilians in Kyiv and all around that country. And second, we'll see if he continues to launch missiles there in the days that are ahead in the preparation for the meeting, and if it really comes off, if there really is a basis, which President Trump said is a condition. Look, I'm confident President Trump will continue to ratchet up the pressure. He can clearly see, and we can all clearly see, he has grown frustrated that Putin has not been prepared to commit to a ceasefire, as President Zelensky has consistently done. And then we shouldn't forget, President Trump said he'd not only meet with Putin, he'd meet with Zelensky. He informed our European partners. So I think we are starting down a path where Putin realizes that this has to end, and it has to end quickly.
So pretty bullish for a guy who historically has not been very bullish on the Russian bear. See what I did there? Sean, let's start basic. When, where, and what? When will this occur? Where will it occur? And what will be on the agenda, assuming the two leaders actually meet?
I think it has to be. I mean, so there's a couple things. I'd say 7 days, but a trip of that nature takes not just some logistics, but some massive security. So Secret Service can do a lot really quick, but just understand that that there's only so much you can do in a short period of time. So I would guess
well,
7 to 10
we know the service can change water flows. Sorry, go ahead.
That's different. It's a lake.
Yeah.
And they can't. They can order it. That's
right,
very different.
So today's Thursday.
7 days.
Today's
I would
Thursday.
Say,
do you think it'll be next week?
I do.
Okay.
I think I would look at late next, like maybe by the week, maybe the weekend. So I'll give myself 10 days and throw in the full weekend. So by Sunday, Monday of the following week, I would look at something like Geneva, where you've got some infrastructure there in terms of other diplomatic reach back capabilities. But I also think like it'll depend. There's a couple things that are going to, like Witkoff's take on all this stuff, what he really thought Putin was willing to give him, and the advice that Trump's going to get from Secretary Rubio in particular, to me, is going to matter. Because to do all this, Trump is going to realize that if I do this and walk out of fill in the blank place and don't come back with something, it's going to look epically bad. I mean, there's no other way to read that. I mean, just to be blunt.
What's within the realm of the possible, what's the best case deliverable from that meeting if it occurs?
The best case deliverable is that Putin agreed to certain areas that we will say he now controls. There will be no further advances, no further fighting, no bombs. He carves out areas that are largely within Russian control or have a history of Russian occupation. But that's it. And no more destruction, no more killing, no more firing. And so a full-on ceasefire. That would be the best case scenario.
Realistic.
I think that's the key word, realistic. Yeah. Because I know there are some people that are going to say we're rewarding them. I'm on that team, but I also go, okay, tell me another scenario where this ends.
Yeah. Dan, start with when, where, and what.
I'll say next Wednesday or Thursday, Iceland or Greenland, And I think I agree with Sean. That would be the best case scenario. I think a more realistic is to announce a 1 month ceasefire to continue conversations, and it takes you closer to the winter season when fighting tends to slow down anyway. Right. And you try to get a deal.
Okay, a percent chance the meeting happens, Sean.
Well, I agree with Sean, though, because this goes to that point. If he goes and they do not have a ceasefire at the end of the war, it's emasculating.
Yeah, but percent chance the meeting happens at all, Sean.
60.
60, Dan.
30.
Yeah, I'm with Dan. I mean, to go into this meeting without the thing being somewhat pre-cooked is just too big a risk. And I know President Trump has great confidence in his ability to get in a room, but this is not a guy you get in the room with without a plan. So,
and would anyone trust Putin?
No, I don't know how you could.
I asked Keith Kellogg that yesterday on my show. Putin's gonna say whatever he has to say. Yeah. So you have to have some.
But does the India thing give the president leverage in a meaningful way in Putin's mind?
I think. Look, I covered this yesterday on my show with Kellogg. The word that I've been getting now for the last 7 days is, and Kellogg brought this up, that Bassett has been saying this, that like our enforcement of secondary trade, so foreign flag vessels carrying Russian oil in particular, has been at a 3. The president has been making it clear to internal allies that he's willing to ratchet that up to an 8 or a 9. Yeah. That's really what's going to hit Russia. And I think that getting that word to Russia, that there's been a wink nod through the 4 years of Biden where we targeted you, but then you foreign flagged ships to get rid of your oil. They are going to ratchet that up. It was getting taken very seriously. The State Department was working up a whole series. And I think that word started to get out, maybe intentionally, maybe not. But the bottom line is, I think Putin has started to realize, like, the runway has come to an end, and and Trump's willing to do some real things that will have a real impact on my economy.
One word, China. Nope.
Yeah. Dan, I'm with you. I'm very skeptical of this whole thing, but let's see.
Want more great clips like that? I've got an idea. Hit the subscribe button, be part of the Two-Way community, never miss a clip, and you can always watch our full episodes, join them live, go to twoway.tv.